Hello everyone, it's Mr. Skin from my home headquarters, and I've actually never done Insta Live ever, and this is the first time. I've done about 10,000 radio interviews, but never once. I don't even think I've been on Instagram, but my team is encouraging me during this quarantine to do a little live broadcasting, and we're going to call this Skinsta Live from here on out. And what I'm going to do today is give you a little, we're calling it Mr. Skin's Quarantine. And I should say that a couple questions I get a lot, especially in the last 6 weeks. The biggest one I get is, hey, could I have a free password? Secondly, I've been getting a lot, as you can imagine, people texting me, people coming to our website and saying, hey, could you recommend a television show that I could watch? Because we've all watched Tiger King, we've all watched Ozark, so people they're running out of stuff. So what I'm doing here, and what my team, and I got to say, my crack staff did an amazing job on this, is we put together a list. It's just 5 shows. We're calling it, like I said, Mr. Skin's Quarantine, which are 5 really good television shows, critically acclaimed, good ratings, Rotten Tomatoes ratings, critics liked them, but they also feature great nudity, and because that's what we do. And my biggest concern about doing this is that my 3 kids are going to log in live to watch this. So if I see any of them pop up on here, I'm going to have a heart attack. But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down this list, recommend some shows. And this week I'm doing 5 active television shows, which means these are shows that have aired a couple of seasons, but are still going on. Next week at this time, I'll do another one. I'll recommend 5 classic television shows that you could stream that are over but featured great nudity also. One other thing I'm going to say before I get started is, if you want to ask me a question or two about actresses, you want to know if an actress has ever been naked, or if you're a fan of a television show and you want to know something, just pop a question up. I'll try to watch this at the same time, and I could answer a few questions if anyone has a question for me. But let me get started with my Skinsta Live, my Quarantine, 5 active television shows that are all really cool shows. The people at my office that work at Mr. Skin love these shows, but they also have great nudity. And on top of all that, I'll be able to tell you the ratio, the percentage per episode nudes, because we went through this and did it. How many breasts, how many butts, how many babushkas. So it'll be fun, and it's like everything else we do, it's very thorough. So let me get started here with a show from Netflix called Sex Education. It's actually a UK show. They've done 2 years now. They're 2 seasons in. And I got to say, of any show I'm going to talk about today, this is the one where it has the least amount of nudity, but maybe the best quality nudity. And Sex Education is about a kid, Asa Butterfield, who's a unpopular virginal high schooler. His mom happens to be the gorgeous Gillian Anderson, who we know from the X-Files, and she's a sex therapist, popular. She's just this sex therapist, and they open a health clinic. So this kid opens a health clinic with the help of his mom. And what's interesting about this show, for instance, in the very first episode of the very first season, this Amy Lou Wood had a sex scene. And to give you an idea how great this sex scene was, we just did a thing at our website called the Whack It Bracket. It was supposed to follow along during the NCAA tournament, but of course the NCAA tournament was canceled. And but we went ahead with our thing. But this year we did it for the best sex scenes that we had seen in movies and television. And then we put them in brackets, and we did it by the brackets were by sex position. So we had like missionary, cowgirl, doggy style, and there was one other one. But we had the and then wild and crazy. Well, Amy Lou Wood from season 1, episode 1 of Sex Education was in there at very, very low seed. And we had hundreds of thousands of people come over the course of this Whack-It Bracket to vote. And believe it or not, she won, beating the likes of, Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, Angelina Jolie, many huge big-name celebrities. That's how good Amy Lou Wood's sex scene was in season 1, episode 1. There's been other great nude scenes on that show, but Sex Education from Netflix, if you're looking for a show, you have 2 seasons. Your commitment for Sex Education is just 16 episodes, and you're caught up. So check it out from Netflix. That's my first Quarantine recommendation. And now I'm seeing one. Someone's asking me, has Morgan Fairchild ever been nude? So the answer is yes, but only one time. And if you're a guy my age, growing up in the 70s or 80s, you probably remember Flamingo Road. She was very famous for being on that, like it was like a nighttime soap opera. But she did a movie called The Seduction in 1982. And about just 4 minutes in, she played a TV anchor woman, and she's swimming at her house. And Andrew Stevens, who is his mother is the famous Stella Stevens, and he was in a bunch of B movies in the 80s and 90s. You might remember him. But he's like a stalker guy, and he's spying on her. He breaks into the house. It's a weird movie. But in that scene at the 4-minute mark and later on in the movie, Morgan Fairchild does her best and really only nudity. It's called The Seduction from 1982. So great question. But I have Quarantine TV to get to. So let me go to a show that I love. I was actually on the radio this morning talking. I was on the Mike Calta show in Tampa, and they really appreciated this tip because it's just a great show. It's called Easy, another Netflix show. It's a comedy. Joe Swanberg created it. It's about this like intertwined group of people living, friends in Chicago, and it's pretty much an anthology show, meaning that every week different actors appear on the show. It's not a set cast, but Easy's done. Let me look at my my skintatistics on this. Easy's done 3 seasons, 25 episodes. They've had 29 nude scenes, and they've been pretty spectacular. And if you want an official count, 32 breast scenes, 8 butts, and 2 babushkas. So Easy, and I'll bring up a couple of highlights. Like in the first season, the 6th episode, Orlando Bloom, Malin Ackerman, and Kate Micucci, no pun intended, had a 3-way that was not only really funny but very, very sexy. And I mean, that's Orlando Bloom with these 2 beautiful women. So that was a memorable moment. But my favorite moment was in the 2nd season, I think it was the 3rd episode, with Carly Shortino, who was also the girl from slutever.com. And I'm a huge fan of hers. And her and this guy had one of the most graphic mutual masturbation scenes I've ever seen on anything that's not porn. And Easy is just a Netflix television show, but if you stumbled on this season 2, episode 3, you would have thought you accidentally were at a porn site. That's how graphic the sex is. But like I said, 25 episodes, 29 great nude scenes. It's Easy from Netflix, a second show in my Quarantine TV recommendations on my Skinsta Live show here. I have to bring up Westworld. Don't have to spend a lot of time on this one because a lot of people know it, but it's on HBO. It's on Sunday nights. I will say this about Westworld. I know a lot of people after the 2nd season were a little iffy on the show. The 1st season of Westworld will go down, no pun intended, as one of the great seasons, both for a television show and the nudity quality that I have ever seen. In fact, all the guys in my office, my head of content, the Sultan of Sex, has said many times to me, the 1st season of Westworld is one of the greatest ever for what we do at Mr. Skin. And you think about it, one of the reasons Westworld, that 1st season was so good, it started in 2016, is that not only did you have that famous 5-minute orgy scene, but the main stars of the show, like Tandy Newton and Evan Rachel Wood, they did the nude scenes. I mean, they were nude almost every week. And I always appreciate when actors or actresses that are the stars of the show do the heavy lifting when it comes to nudity, not obscure, no-name actresses. So Westworld, which by the way was just renewed for a 4th season. So I think we have, as I check my statistics, three seasons, 26 episodes total so far, 52 nude scenes, and we're not even counting. We're counting the orgy scene as one. So that's those numbers could shoot up. But then the 31 breast scenes, 21 butts, and 15 bushes, babush. And Westworld is another one you definitely want to check out. And like I said, just renewed for a 4th season, which is pretty cool. So a couple more I wanted to get to real quick. Someone's this is great too. Someone's asking about Ozark, and I'm a huge fan of Ozark. And whoever that is, I missed the name, but they wanted to know about Julia Garner, who is, I think her name's Ruth on the show, the kind of trailer trashy, great actress. And check out a movie she did called 1% Humid, in which she shows some butt. She hasn't done much nudity wise, but I'll tell you what, as much as I'm a fan of Julia Garner, I am a huge fan of Janet McTeer, who plays Helen, she's like the cartel lawyer, and she's like 6'1". She you could tell she's very well endowed in the chest. And all of a sudden I noticed at our website we were getting a lot of searches for Janet McTeer from that show, and she did I guess you call it like a flash in a movie called Albert Nobbs from 2011, no pun intended, where it's a weird scene because she was dressed as a guy, but when she opens her shirt, she proves she is no guy. And if you ever wanted to see the lawyer from Ozark topless, check out Albert Nobbs is the one I'd recommend, but she's done some other things, but that's the great one. Laura Linney, who plays Jason Bateman's wife, also did a movie called Maze around 2000 where she goes full frontal, so you could check that out. But I have quarantine TNA to get to, so let me get back to that. I have to add to this one to my list. I had to make sure it's on it. It's called Altered Carbon from 2018. It's a Netflix sci-fi show, and they're 2 seasons in, so we have 18 episodes they've completed. 23 nude scenes, but 9 of them were full frontal, which is a very high ratio, and it's a cool show. I will say this is very much like Westworld, where the first season blew people away. The second season might have been a little off after a great first season, but Altered Carbon's first season, where Deitch and Lachman and Martha Higarita and all the nudity that was on that show, and all the full frontal nudity, is also up there with Westworld's first season, which is really cool. By the way, I see a bunch of people asking me about the Mr. Skin Challenge. I'll get to that at the very end. Yes, it's still going on. Let me finish this and then I'll get to that. But anyway, Altered Carbon as a quarantine TNA show, you definitely want to check that out. And if you don't know, it's a little tough to explain, but if you're into sci-fi, you definitely, especially the first season, you'll like it. It's like if you, what it's kind of about is like consciousness is digitized and stored, so people can survive death by having their memories re-sleeved into other people. And that's basically what Altered Carbon's about. Like I said, the first season, everybody went crazy because it was a really good season just for the sci-fi element, but then threw in the nudity. I know a lot of the sci-fi fans were a little disappointed in season 2, and season 2 didn't have the nudity, but worst case, if you checked out just season 1 of Altered Carbon, that would be an awesome quarantine TNA show for you. But let me wrap this up. Last but not least, I did want to mention how could I not mention the greatest television show in the history of nudity for number of nude scenes, and it's still active, believe it or not. It's Shameless from Showtime, which has completed 10 seasons. If you don't know what the show's about, it's about a blue-collar family in Chicago, and lots of characters on this show. But it definitely turns the Windy City into the Skindy City, because I'm looking at these statistics right now. 138 nude scenes through 10 seasons, 122 episodes, 138 nude scenes, and really spectacular. Now, literally, my people from my office went through every episode and counted this, so these are accurate numbers. Though I don't think anyone out there is going to question these numbers, because then you'd have to go through and prove us wrong. But no, it's amazing. And I don't know, Sultan, are we counting William H. Macy's pasty white ass scenes in this? I hope not. But anyway, it is of any show in the history of television, no show has had more nude scenes than Shameless. And season 11 is coming. They said November of this year, but with the quarantine and everything going on, I just can't imagine that we should expect to see the 11th season in November. But, what do I know? One other thing about Shameless, why it was so great and why you should watch it. Not only the nudity, it is a very well-received, critically acclaimed show, but Emmy Rossum, who's a star of the show, she left the show after 9 seasons, but up till that point, you could count on every season a great Emmy Rossum nude scene. And, listen, you'd have 122 episodes, 60 minutes each, so that'll kill a lot of quarantine. And but I highly recommend Shameless, and of any show at MrSkin.com, no television show has more nudity than Shameless, so check that out. And last but not least, before I get out of here and go take my kids' computers away who are probably watching this thing, this Mr. Skin Challenge is going on at the front page. You can find this at the front page of MrSkin.com, and it's really cool. Our team came up with this. We're having, it's a contest where if you go to our Twitter page, Mr. Skin Celebs, or just the front page of MrSkin.com, you'll see this. And we're giving away 3 $1,200 prizes. And all you have to do is, to enter, is submit sketches of a drawing of your favorite nude scene or an iconic celeb moment in history. And I want to stress, you don't have to be a, Leonardo da Vinci. You don't have to be a great artist. Creativity is important too, but we're getting tons of responses. If you want to draw something, I don't care if it's a stick figure or if you're more sophisticated, but if you submit this, we're going to choose 3 of them and give away $1,200 each. And it's called the Mr. Skin Challenge. And like I said, front page of our website, you can't miss it, or our Twitter feed, it's all over, and you can win some dough. So anyway, I hope you liked the first, and hopefully not the last episode of the Skinsta Live, and I'll be back probably around the same time next week. We'll make an announcement, and I could give you 5 shows I recommend for Quarantine that are shows that have run their course. They're done, but also featured incredible nudity. So anyway, that's it. Just wanted to say thanks for listening. I hope you had fun, and see you next week. Bye.